There's someone I want you to meet. He's my new familiar, Dojo.
I hate you.
Now we have people watching us. We have an agreement.
No, we didn't.
Okay, let's just take this one step back. We're on YouTube. We have to behave nicely.
Screw you.
I'm really sorry. We're still working on our relationship.
No, we're not.
Clearly, that did not go well. And he's not the only one who hates me. Here is a selection of my favorite hate reviews. If you're interested about my books, I did make you a little video at the end. But this is funny fairy tales, and obviously it's not for everyone. It was kind of something I did for fun. Some people really liked it. This is not something to read while drinking coffee unless you have plenty of napkins to wipe up the mess when you start laughing and spray the coffee on your Kindle. Okay, that's a good review. My teenage daughter read this book after me and loved it. It's a laugh out loud, cute retelling and a great read. I didn't know what to expect by this book as it was recommended by a friend. I was very surprised how much I enjoyed it and how much fun it was reading it. A great modern take on a classic tale has made me download all Barak other books. Okay, not all the reviews are like that. Once upon a time, it got worse. Unfortunately, the stories or chapters are very challenging to follow, a strange combination of the classic and modern elements. Yada! That was the whole point! The characters are not likable. The stories aren't very good. And many don't make sense, but there was something really nice about this review. This is how long it is. Now I'm gonna read you this review. Okay, ready for the title. Couldn't end too soon. Oh, I love this one. I love this one. They actually didn't read the whole thing. They read a version that had only 3 of the stories because they did also release this in 5 installments. But all of them said that you can read the whole thing just in case you wanted to save money. I was being honest, all right? Okay, here we go. This book, seriously, was not what I was expecting. Okay. I was expecting a 3-in-1 book, capital letters, that was filled with wit and humor. Skipping ahead a little bit, I did not laugh even one time. Well, you also didn't spill coffee on your Kindle. I don't think I even smiled while reading it. To be perfectly honest, had I not agreed to read it through for a review, I wouldn't have even finished it. This is how I know that my reviewer club is honest. Now every time I get a 5-star review, I'm like, oh, I know it's real. I'm just gonna skip ahead because there's so much of this. There's absolutely no character development. No real romance or wooing. Right, let's review. This is a satire book. I would not label it as clean. Yes, I do sex jokes. In fact, this is the disclaimer. You know how normally you have a disclaimer at the beginning of a book? This is a work of fiction. I mean it. No man can perform that many times in a row, last that long, or talk like that when there is no blood in his brains. And then it goes on like this. The random sex comments did not blend with the story, but then I guess the story didn't blend with the story. I love this person. Okay, skipping on. I was just glad it was so short because I just wanted it to end. I was very disappointed. This is wonderful. Like, if you're gonna write a 1-star review, make it count, you know? Put in the effort. Put in the word count. There's other things that seem to happen in the Reviewers Club that I actually really like. So this was A Court by Birthright. So it's number 2 in A Court of Fae. This is the War series. It's actually dedicated to some of my cross-border friendships, to friends from lands I could not enter. First line of the dedication. Hooked! From the first page, this book hooks you in. The pacing is fast, the tension constant, and the twists keep you guessing, especially when it comes to trust. For the first 100 pages, I found myself second-guessing nearly every character's intentions, which made it impossible to put down. Okay, it keeps going on and on and on and on. Rich, layered, and full of political intrigue and danger, which made this story even more compelling. Guess how many stars I got for this? 4. 4! This is a 5-star review, come on. And my very favorite ever review, actually not the review itself, but the comment that they made in my private. So this is for Forbidden Road, and the review came late. Sorry this is late. I totally forgotten to add my review when I'd read it, and then got totally absorbed with your Fae of Sky books. Wait, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I have, I really try to take it all with a sense of humor. You know, I can laugh at myself, and I also hope that me and Dojo get to work on our relationship. The video about my books follows now. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I've just come out of the shower, obviously. Check it out. My towel matches my sweater. And as I was showering, I was thinking about how I would describe my books and my series and my trilogies to a consultant that I want to speak with, and then it started rambling in my head, and I thought, hey, why don't I tell everybody? My love child, Forbidden Road, was very, very unique to me, and when I first wrote it, I don't know, 15 years ago, I wrote the first draft, and then it became part of the series. And what I really like about it is that it's very different. It's got parallel timelines, so one of them is a proper urban fantasy witch stepping into her powers because they suddenly get elevated and she doesn't have control, and within that time the big guys come and attack her and the love of her life, and something terrible happens. Well, at the same time you have an epic fantasy timeline where they meet again. They've traveled to the past, so there's a time travel big element to this one, and they don't recognize each other, but you as the reader, you know who they are, and then you see their path into finding each other again. Whereas they start with being enemies, they're on two opposite sides of an attack against the king. And she again steps into her magic, only now she didn't even remember she was a witch. So it's all discovering these mega powers in one go. And only towards the end is it clear, this bit of a punchline for them, that this is actually not just a random person who steps into the prophecy of the one king and the one mage. That is very much an epic fantasy type trope, but that is actually Arthurian, and then they continue in the next book, Merlin's Creed, and eventually into Secrets of Camelot, which is the third in this trilogy, which is the actual Arthurian story spoken from Guinevere's perspective, where she is not the traitor and the person who brought down Camelot, but actually the person who fell into the wrong arranged marriage, when really she was meant for Lancelot all along, and Lancelot is their son. Then we have their parents, Julie and Mark. This is a bit easier in terms of like more popular kind of genre, because she's a mega witch, he's a billionaire, fight the bad guys together. Also in parallel timelines, because what we know from this trilogy is that her parents had to travel back in time to save her. So this is kind of happening at the same time, and they have to watch out not to get into messing with the timeline. We have their story, which links to the dragons of Loch Ness, who have been very popular by my reviewers. And everything that I write is into this main series. These were 6 books, 2 trilogies that really tie into each other, interlink, and anything that I do from then on links back. I'm like a one series author. Even the Fae, this one has been very popular. It is written to market, a Fae fantasy series of 4. But guess what? The Fae appear in the next trilogy of Evan's Witches as kind of almost a type of familiars who help the character out and play quite a role in the series, a bit like Terry Pratchett's We Free Men. He's my favorite author. This is Amber. Now we're writing from the perspective of a charge, so we always have the mage and the charge. The mage is Harley, Mark and Julie's second son, Kim's brother, but she's not a witch. She's a human and super smart and has a dark background. We link into teen trauma. And then even though she isn't a witch, she does have these kind of familiar witch helpers. In fact, believe it or not, even my funny fairy tales, which is like completely unique, hasn't been done in a while. Last time I read something like this was politically correct, like years ago when I was a young teen. And I always dreamed of doing something like this, even though this isn't like what the market's doing, but people liked it and it was fun. So guess what? Shraga the Magic Mirror, who appears in 3 of these, is also the same magic mirror who tells Kim and Julie stories that are funny and quirky. Same stories, it's just the beginning of. So it's all interlinked, it's all one big series, which I will write for the rest of my life, because every time I get like an idea, my first thought is like, okay, but how does this series actually get back into the same world of Evan's Witch? I love this world. I wish I could live it in reality. I had a couple of reviews share that too. So yeah, that's Evan's Witches in a nutshell.